Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brian Altano. I'm here with Zach Ryan.
What's going on?
And we are looking at a trailer for a little game called ReCore. Or maybe it's a big game. We don't really know a ton about it yet.
Not yet.
But ReCore is a game by KJ Inafune and some of the creators of Metroid Prime. It's by a team called Armature Studios, and it's an Xbox One exclusive. Now, as you can see, it stars a female protagonist and a robot dog.
Right, so according to Inafune, who we see his name come up in here.
There he is, creator of Mega Man, obviously.
Our protagonists here, they're named, the girl's named Jewel, and the robot dog is named Mac.
That's right. So now the interesting thing about Jewel is that she is the only human currently in this sort of post-apocalyptic dystopia where the Earth is covered in sand,
Right.
and abandoned ship parts,
And
cool rocks.
yeah, these are some really great rocks. You can see here there's some really great rock work on display.
Exactly. So what we don't know really is, we'll get this right out the gate. We don't know what genre this game is. We don't know if it's a platformer, although I suspect it sort of is. Although, you know, because I feel like between the sort of prestige of Inafune and the Metroid Prime team, I think that's where we're going with this. But basically the gist of this game is this woman is trying to find out if there's any other life on Earth, specifically if there's other human life. Or human-ish life, whatever she is. Now, ReCore is basically talking about how these things called cores, as you can see that blue light in the robot dog's face and his body, or her body, whatever it is a core. Now, she's able to find these cores around the planet and use them to power up other robots that can help her in her path.
And one of the things that I think is really interesting, if we run it all the way back here during this sandstorm, Inafune said that the sandstorms would play a huge part in changing the terrain and the way that the world is laid out and the way that you interact with the world. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can see, if you go back a little further, you can see before this how low the levels are, and then afterwards it looks like a lot more stuff is buried underneath.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and they're basically digging their way out.
I think that could be kind of cool in terms of especially in games like Metroid Prime, where there's a lot of backtracking and stuff. This could seriously change the terrain that you're looking at.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it could mean that you're going back to an area and it's completely different.
Yeah, totally changed.
So we don't know if that's going to involve like terraforming or any kind, or if that's just going to be sort of a scripted thing that you'll see happen throughout the campaign. It's interesting to reveal a game like this in its current state, because like I said, we're not really even sure what kind of genre it is, but I have a feeling it will be a third-person sort of action-adventure, kind of with some platforming elements, and, you know, with a lot of kind of exploration, which is really cool. I think that's something that's definitely played a role in the Metroid games.
Yeah.
Now here you see there's obviously evil cores too, the red ones, very simple red and blue thing, and now that means someone is sort of powering up bad robots in this game too. And Inafune, obviously, huge fan of evil robots. He's made us fight them for decades now.
Right. And I think this is kind of cool, like, get our first taste of combat. There's obviously going to be some gunplay involved.
Yep. So there will be guns. We don't know if there's ammo. We don't know how you'll sort of, if you can build weapons or anything like that. But what I'm interested in seeing is the sort of diversity in robots. A lot of them are mimicking animals or people, or sort of like, you know, familiar species that we're used to here on Earth, and I'm wondering if you'll be able to sort of repopulate some of these bad creatures with your own cores.
It looks, yeah, you will see at the end of the trailer that there's a sort of a collection of different robots that you interact with, that we see at the end with these blue cores, and so it's something that's really interesting, because if you watch here, you'll see you can probably, it looks like you can probably take these enemies out by destroying their cores, or you can choose to capture them and repurpose them.
Yep. Now, obviously, this dog has its own range of attacks. You see a projectile there that she's got, too. And a second ago, I don't know if you noticed, her gun actually overheated. So that could actually be part of the mechanics, which we never really saw in Mega Man, but we did kind of see elements of that in Metroid
Prime,
which is pretty interesting. If you think back to the original Mega Man games, or specifically 2 and 3, there was a character, Rush, who was Mega Man's dog. And you were able to sort of upgrade him with different things. So I'm wondering if that's something that can happen here. As you can see, she's just stolen the enemy core right there, and she'll probably be able to use that for her own good use.
Yeah, like, I'm really interested to see if it's something like you can steal enemy cores and repurpose them for use in different ally companions, or if it's something like currency where you can cash in these cores and use them for upgrades and things like that.
Yeah, upgrading weapons and costumes and stuff like that. But it's cool to see your sidekick is basically part of your offense too, although he doesn't look super powered right now. He's
but I think it's really cool that maybe there's some level of interaction where you can give some instruction to this ally, or maybe it operates on its own completely independently and does its own thing to help you out. But I really love this moment right here where he looks back at Jewel. I think this is really cool. And I remember when we saw this at E3, Brian Altano made fun of me because when this robot dog exploded, I made this noise. Oh, I was very disappointed.
Yeah, so he's dead, but the core's still there, so he sort of lives on. And I do want to point out, and this is just a personal thing, did you see that yellow hard hat she's got going?
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of the enemies in Mega Man.
Yeah,
the ones
totally.
That
the guys
down.
that peek up.
Yeah, she's kind of got the same color scheme going, so I hope that's a little nod. It'd be really cool to see nods to some of the older games like that here. And it's cool to see the Metroid Prime team is working on something that's sort of in the same kind of universe again.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I thought was really interesting. It didn't say that it was like from Inafune and Retro, or it said the creators behind
of Metroid
Prime, which I think that's really cool that this team kind of splintered off and then managed to pair with this auteur game director to make something like this.
Yeah, it's a dream team.
Yeah.
So she was analyzing that robot core to begin with, or that kind of empty robot husk, and now she's powering him up, and hopefully this retains the memories and emotion of her dog. And
I certainly get that impression because when Super Dog looks at her here, there's obviously recognition. They're obviously pals, right?
And he did sort of lean in like a dog does. He shook off like he just got out of the beach. Like a dog.
He gets
a dog gets out of water and
shakes
it
off. Sure. This is really cool. So there's obviously outside of the robots that we're going to be interacting with, there was some sort of high-tech civilization here once.
Right. And we're seeing kind of remnants of it here, which is really cool.
Now this is what was really kind of interesting to me too. When they get into this next room, you see this huge enemy that they're taking on, and what's all this stuff? This looks like all these robot husks. So we were talking about there's obviously some sort of malevolent force behind the red orb robots, and it looks like maybe this thing is recreating and putting these pieces back together and then putting these.
This is sort of this ReCore's mother brain, if you will. It's also got it feels very kind of Queen Alien or the Matrix, this sort of that prime robot machine that's pumping everything out. But so the real question about this game is is an evil human running that machine?
Right.
How far does this go back? Because as you can see with the mechanics, she had to put that core into something to make it run, which means that initially somebody had to make that, and if that's what started this sort of robot apocalypse that we're in now, remains to be seen.
This is kind of cool too. I love this. You get this sort of tandem move here where she bounces off of him.
Yep.
I would love to see some of this stuff in the game, or a lot of this kind of motion in the gameplay where you can use your ally to get to different areas or access different parts of a boss battle or something like that.
Yeah, totally. And again,
totally cool.
It's very Mega Man and Rush, right? Jumping off a Rush's back to get it to something high up.
Now this last shot,
this is awesome.
Here, this is what I was talking about earlier, where I'm thinking that you'll probably be repurposing these cores and maybe rehabilitating them and putting them into some ally robots, because we see over here on the right-hand side of the screen is this spider robot that we were just fighting. Yeah, so if we can potentially recruit some of these other evil robots into our squad, that could be kind of cool. I think that could be a lot of fun.
So we've got this sort of Destiny-ish alien orb that's floating. We've got these kind of small tank walker things. We got this big guy in the middle, and then we've got this floating octopus. And something to notice too is that some of them are sort of monocular or cyclopses, where they just have one eye, and then some have two. Your main guy and your dog have two sideways. So I don't know if that's going to sort of dictate class types or the way they'll attack or anything like that. But we will find out more soon. This game looks really cool, really exciting. Brand new original IP. It's Xbox exclusive. And Spring
2016, which is really crazy because they've gone on record to say that this game has only been in development for just over a year.
Yeah.
So that's a really quick turnaround. So it kind of makes me wonder about duration or replayability, maybe.
Yeah, how long this thing's going to be. Yeah, I think the trailer kind of leads us to think that this is this massive open world game.
Yeah.
But my hunch and expectance is that it's sort of a little more intimate than that. I think it's probably a first or third person kind of platforming.
Yeah,
you know,
I'd love to see
very straightforward game.
more gameplay and see if it's like I'm assuming that it's probably going to be some kind of third person, like you said, platformer action thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's everything we know about ReCore so far. If you found any details in the trailer that we missed, let everyone know in the comments below, and we can put together the mystery together. I'm Brian Altano. This is Zach Ryan, and ReCore will be on Xbox One exclusively next spring, and we can't wait to play it.